Do do. Oh, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm ahead of myself. 1. Let's go! All right. Welcome to the British Kingdom. God, sorry. Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Gosh, every single time I start my show, my camera starts to start freezing. Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. So much in the news. We got Trump information. Biden signed the IRS thing and still pretending like it's not going to raise taxes on the poor, middle class. When that study came out, that goes against everything. We have so many clips to get into. This is the Derek O'Shea Show. Welcome to the revolution. What's up, guys? I'm trying myself on this side of the equation just to mess it up. I see like most YouTubers are on this side, so I figure try it out, see how I feel. If you want to support my show, you go to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea Show. Link is in the description right there. It's the same way as super chatting, same way as just because I don't have that many subscribers yet, and that's how it goes. Tell your friends and family about the Derek O'Shea Show. Let's get into the news right away as we have this. Oh, yeah. By the way, I am currently live on YouTube's Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, and the Facebooks on all of them. So if you see me chatting with somebody in the chat and you don't see it in the chat, I'm not losing my mind. Though I might be, but I'm not. I'm chatting with somebody maybe from a different source. But let's get into the news. Also, I will be checking the elections regarding Wyoming and Alaska throughout this. In fact, let's check it right now, because that is what I'm about here.
I'm sorry, right. You said earlier that it should have been a bipartisan bill. This would have been a bipartisan bill.
Normal times.
Normal times. What does it say about your Republican colleagues that this wasn't?
Okay, that's not live. It's obviously an old clip. Let's check on another news source. Nothing. Okay, cool. Well, let's get into the news right away. Federal court hearing set for August 18th to consider options to release the Trump raid affidavit, which will be so sweet. Incredible that they have to do something like this in order to release this kind of information, because I feel like the American public should know. If you're raiding the last president, you and I should know why, instead of we're doing this witch hunt thing. Here's what I think. I think there's probably some bogus claim that they went off of, and they found nothing again, because at this point, they're freaking out. They're freaking out. They're freaking out about Trump in the election cycle coming up soon, and the midterms as well. They are freaking out because I feel like it's going to be an unstoppable landslide. And so they're doing everything in their power in order to stop it. And this is one of these things, because they feel like there's no hope. And so they're going to go out and beyond. It's like an animal knows that it's about to be killed. They're going to start to lose their mind, freak out, and go and do the impossible. But let me know your thoughts on this. But August 18th, to consider motions to release the Trump affidavit. Are you looking forward to seeing that? But we'll go right into the news as we have right here regarding the same kind of information. So when I put my show together, I try to make all the clips flow, make sense, and you know how it goes. I don't want to just be all over the place, but these are all the top videos, news stories, and clips that I thought were important for the day, but also just interesting. And we'll get into some fun stuff at the end as well, because we got to laugh. If we're not laughing, we're crying at this point. Am I right? Okay, but here we go. DOJ, again, August 18th, unsealed the affidavit, but here we go.
Evan Turley was saying you can redact portions of that affidavit and still release to the public and not reveal some sort of investigation that's underway. Maybe the judge makes that decision on Thursday, because we just got the word that he'll hold the hearing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Wall Street Journal, Bill McGurn wonders this. Merrick Garland goes solo in Mar-a-Lago search. Did Biden know about the Trump raid? If not, that's truly disturbing. He makes the point that you're going to break down the walls of 200 years of precedents without talking it over with others. What do you think happened in this?
Well, if you notice, the Attorney General has never said that he did not inform the White House. Only the White House has been claiming that they had no knowledge. It'll be very interesting to see what Attorney General Garland says when he actually gets to the point where he will answer questions. We know this raid was undertaken against President Biden's political rival. We also know that Donald Trump himself personally derailed Attorney General Garland's path to the Supreme Court. And we also know that the FBI has in the past submitted bogus information to get a warrant that was directed at Donald Trump, where they used the bogus Russia dossier that even the New York Times says is not factual, that they submitted to a court as their basis to get a warrant against Donald Trump. There's a pattern here, and also when you look at the unequal application of the law with Hillary Clinton and a very similar issue, almost identical, it certainly shows that the Attorney General at the Department of Justice have got to give an explanation and justify this to the American public.
I was wondering this. I mean, obviously, you have Democratic counterparts.
Again, we're going to find out August 18th,
the
the justification.
Especially
so,
on the committee.
Very exciting.
Do you get a sense that any
Probably
of
be
those
absolutely nothing,
Democrats,
but here we go.
names, are concerned about the unprecedented nature of this, that they have some trepidation about it as well?
Well, I think everyone should. I mean, and certainly you have had on a bipartisan basis calls for this information to be released and calls for the documents to be reviewed by the Intelligence Committee to determine whether or not there were really highly classified documents here. So, I mean, you know, in order for them to have gone into his house, remember, they spent 9 hours there. They would have had to have said to the court, there is a high national security risk from the documents that are there. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to prove that. They're going to have to show to us that it actually rose to that level, and that the other options available to them, even just asking, you know, the court or the former president in the process of cooperation, tell them what they know, ask them to comply. None of that was followed before they went into his home.
We're going to find out. August 18th just was released about the affidavit. Why did they do it? What was the purpose? We've heard everything from nuclear codes to classified information. You know, everyone's just kind of making up stuff at this point because no one has any idea. I mean, and at this point, I feel like you could take a dart and just throw it against the board, and whatever it lands, you're like, okay, let's write a story about that. Like, it's just, we have no idea. We're all going off of assumptions because at this point, it makes sense to go off of just the most lunacy, just the craziest idea you can think of. I mean, we've heard everything about Trump, from peeing on models in Russia, prostitutes, to him being a Russian asset, to now the Espionage Act. It's just like, you fill in the blank what they think Trump is, and then they're just gonna make it about him. It's just so silly at this point. But again, they're acting like an animal that is about to be slaughtered. You know, they know they're gonna lose the election. Well, as we assume, you never know. There could be too many Republicans who think that the election is rigged and there's no hope, and so therefore, what's the point of even voting? And then the Democrats could win. So you let me know your thoughts on all that stuff going on. Let's go to the next one. Again, let's check live video streams about what's going on today. I want to make sure we get updates in regards to the elections. I don't know how good this is going to be, so take it with a grain of salt, but we're still talking about the Trump affidavit and stuff like that, the documents being sealed. Again, August 18th, everything's going to be disclosed. I think. We'll see. That's what we're supposed to be told today. But here is Devin Nunes talking about it.
Yeah, we just had Judge Napolitano on, who said maybe the reason the DOJ doesn't want that affidavit to see the light of day is because there's a possibility there may have been an FBI agent embedded in the Trump in the Trump Mar-a-Lago orbit. What do you think of that? Is that possible? Is Trump concerned about weeding someone like that out?
Well, look, I mean, who knows? Who the hell knows? We're in such uncharted territory that we've now gone into we're just in banana republic world now. So, look, I find it very hard to believe that Donald Trump was, hiding any type of classified document. It's just preposterous, right? And the fact that they would go and investigate him under the Espionage Act, and then they take his passports like he's going to flee. And look, the story they'll say, Eric, you know what they'll say? They'll say, well, we had to take his passports because we didn't know if he's going to flee to Russia or not. These people are psychopaths, and they need to be an end has to be put to them. And only Republicans in Washington, I think, are going to be able to do this. I mean, President Trump will be able to stand his ground. He'll fight this, but ultimately it's going to be Congress.
Devin, did they really take the passports because they were concerned about Donald Trump fleeing the country? I mean, that sounds like crazy town. Are they that nuts? Are they that delusional that Donald Trump would flee the country? Where's he going to go? Oh, let me guess. Russia? I don't know.
Of course, Russia, maybe Ukraine. I don't know. Maybe he'll go to Ukraine. I mean, look, this is a ridiculous conversation. This is like comedy hour. I mean, if you and I were having this conversation back in the day, back 10, 12 years ago, whenever I first started going on your shows, nobody would believe this. It would be like you and I are putting together a comedy skit here.
It's unbelievable. I thought when I first read the story, or the breaking news, that they had his passports, I thought it was part of, they took some documentation that contained his passport. Not they actually confiscated his passports. Did they put a thing around his ankle and make sure he doesn't leave too?
I don't know. They're going to have to maybe watch his airplane. I don't know. Maybe they're going to put somebody, put some, the wheel locks on his airplane once he gets his airplane back.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they should stick one of those bracelets around Hunter Biden and find out where he's been and where he's going. Devin Nunes, always good having you.
Eric, that was the mistake. That was the mistake. See, if Republicans, anybody wants to hide anything, all you got to do, hide it on Hunter Biden's laptop. It's guaranteed. FBI, DOJ, they'll never find it.
Never.
Is there anything worse than watching two people think that they're funny, try to crack jokes, and they're not funny? It's just so cringy. It's like some of these talk shows, when they start going after Biden or making Trump jokes, it's just so dumb. And they're just so corny and obvious. And I'm like, do people in their inner circles think this is really funny? Because that just makes me sad. Next clip. Speaking of next clip, this clip right here. This clip right here. It's almost too good. All right. Watch Joe Biden totally follow COVID protocol. You know, the best part about all this is that after he got done coughing into his hand, he then went to shake a bunch of old people's hands and sign a bill and then hand that same pen to Joe Manchin. So, was it a plot to murder Joe Manchin? It's freaking nuts. We're in a crazy time period, people. Let's see. Okay, next clip. God, this camera is just trash. Maybe I should try a different camera. I think I'm going to try Cameo next time just to see how that camera app works. All right, here we go. Biden today signed the Inflation Reduction Act that raises $740 billion and may not do anything to reduce inflation. President whips off his mask to thank Manchin, the most aggressive climate change package in history. But you and I both know, as you and I broke it down, that there's going to be $20 billion in extra taxes being gifted, forced, held down, made to show from the middle class. So they're still lying to your face about this whole thing. But that's, what do you expect with politicians at this point? I just feel like every word that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Biden returned to the White House Tuesday after signing the bill. He's been vacationing in his private home in Kiowa Island. Still can't believe he lives there. Then immediately turns around and flies to Washington, D.C. Delaware, estimated to reduce the deficit by $300 billion. Yeah, right. Okay, next. But here, this is all from today. These are all the things that he signed. I can't tell if I want to watch this. Should we watch this clip? I can't stand her. Let's check on the election, if anything. Let's hear Joe Biden talking about it.
One more.
What's your reaction to the reports coming out of Mar-a-Lago about how the former president handled classified information? Is that worth an investigation?
The only thing on that, guys, you guys know more than I know on that. The only thing I can tell you about, as a senator, there's 535 of us. The one thing we do know, that when we go to the SCIF, the secured area, which is way down underneath the Capitol, you go in there and they clean you up. They'll make sure you got no electronics on you. And when you walk out, they say, "Are you clean?" You say, "Yes." You better be clean. That's all I can tell you. I know the prosecution. I know what we're facing if we walk out with top secret knowingly. And the only thing I can tell you is very serious.
Should the gang of 8 at least be briefed on what was found? Should they at least be given a briefing?
By the Justice Department?
I thought they were going to do that. The Justice Department, aren't they going to? I mean, I understand they were going to bring me out. They don't want to because it affects their case, if they have a case, and how they're going to present their case. I have not followed that. I've been so immersed into this. But that's serious. The only thing I can tell you, when you walk into the SCIF and you walk into your desk and your desk is there and you got all these people, it'll be, and if it says classified, top secret, when that top's on there and it's in red across the top, you better be careful how you handle it. You better make sure you don't take it out with you. That's all I can tell you.
Sounds like you think the former president was being careless then.
Well, Senator Manchin, you know that other Senate Republicans know that as well. So why have some Senate Republicans?
I have no idea. It's just ridiculous. It truly is ridiculous. We know better than that. No person's above the law. Me, you, none of us all.
Oh, sure. No person's above the law unless you are a Democrat. You can do whatever you want. I mean, Hillary Clinton, she's totally clean. Same with Bill Clinton. Jeffrey Epstein, hello. God.
Thrive on dividing. You know, I never. Well, it's just worth it. This country's gone through an awful lot over its history, and I think we're strong enough to come out of this also. I would like to think. Thank you all.
Okay, Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, speaking extensively with reporters right outside of the White House today as he appeared.
He's like, "Oh God, the press likes me again. Cool." God. All right. I kind of want to hear some of her lies about this Inflation Reduction Act. Again, there was a new nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said that there's going to be $20 billion more given to the IRS due to new taxes on the middle class. So this idea that anyone making over under 400,000 is not going to pay a cent more in taxes is a lie. Well, Biden said it. God, it's amazing how many people literally will take anything politicians say as face value. Like, well, they're clearly, because of my internal narrative in my mind that Democrat equals good or Republican equals good, like, they would never lie to me. Sure. Speaking of liar, I'm excited to hear her.
It's always nice to be there on a day when something gets signed. How you doing? How's it feel down there? What's the atmosphere like at the White House?
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Joyful. I'll just say there's this huge sense of at least all of the cabinet secretaries who were there who have a piece of this bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. We just felt so happy, and the president clearly was happy, and the members of Congress who were there. It was a small ceremony. Obviously, there will be a larger one that will include a lot of people to celebrate, but oh my goodness. Because it's so consequential, John. I mean, the fact that this is the biggest movement on climate of any White House by 10 times 10. bigger than any country has done on this. So and of course it's huge for real people being able to lower their costs. And the president is really upset.
Again, that's a lie. We just talked about it again. I feel like I have to keep bringing it up. The middle class is going to pay $20 billion more in taxes because of this bill. And you're going to have 87,000 new IRS agents going after those middle class people and people making under $400,000 a year. But, you know, if they say it, then it has to be true. And that's why they're so excited. Their budget is expanding and they love it. Oh, we don't have to actually balance our budget or, you know, make sure what we get in, we pay out evenly. We just want to keep expanding. Let's keep going in the further. Maybe not go into further debt this time and just, you know, print more money and stuff like that, or just hit a couple keys on the keyboard. Let's cripple the Americans more in a time of high inflation and recession. Because nothing says I care about you like taking your money. I love it. It's so nice. These people care about you. It's all love. Okay?
Obsessed and focused, and
she's pumped.
And really, has all of these bills have been focused on how we lower costs for real
people. She's
pumped.
I'm pumped.
And this will be huge for people. So, I don't know. It was just a great moment, and we were happy as can be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you I know, either privately or publicly, in some cases thought this thing was doomed. But I want to actually talk about the substance, because we often talk about the politics all the time. We're going to put up on the screen here when some of the Inflation Reduction Act components take effect. How soon will people feel this stuff? You got the stuff some stuff you know a lot about, Secretary Granholm. You got the clean electricity credits. They're coming online immediately. The electric vehicle credits coming online immediately. The ACA Affordable Care Act tax credits, they're coming on in January 2023. Free vaccines under Medicare, January. $35 insulin cap under Medicare, January. These are things like that's moving. Those things are coming online pretty quickly. And I'll put aside the politics for a second in the question of the midterms. Do you think that there's that the fact that the president was able to get this done and that those particular planks of the legislation and others will start to make an impact on the economy within the next 6 months? Talk about what you think the effect that will be on the American economy and on the American spirit.
Well, honestly, the American spirit has something to do with how the economy will move too. This was the reason why this was so positive is
what? She's trying so hard to be excited about this bill that she doesn't even know what she's saying in the moment. She's like, yeah, it's part of the spirit equals freedom, and freedom equals. We're excited. We're just excited. We're happy to be here. I'm happy to be on this interview right now. Historic moment. Historic.
Because there was this enormous sense of hope that government actually can function, that we are moving forward, that this White House
again, you can't balance your budget. You're just taking more money from people. This is what functioning government does, apparently. They just get it done. Let's emotionally just do things because we feel like we have to, because if we don't, everyone's gonna die. That's what climate change is. If you're against it, it means you want people to die.
Partnership with the House and the Senate can actually do big pieces of legislation that impact real people. And yeah, people will start to feel this if they take advantage of the tax credits. So for example, if you're somebody who has wondered whether you should put solar panels on your roof, there is a...
We're doing this again. You buy the solar panels. Oh, you're renting because you're poor because you can't afford the homes? I don't know, put some solar panels on your porch. I don't know, buy an electric vehicle. Gas is getting more expensive, and we're trying to phase out of that. Just buy an electric vehicle. Oh, you can't afford that, and you have a car that has 1 million miles on it because you can't afford it, and you don't have enough money to just go out and spend money on a car. I don't know what to say. You're not going to get helped, is what I'm saying. Things are getting better for the rich and worse for the poor. And that's our Democratic Party. Praise God. They're so nice.
a 30% tax credit for you to be able to do that. If you are of low or moderate income, it may be more. It may be more for you to be able to install a heat pump. The heat pump may be fully covered. There's income levels, et cetera. There will be guidance about this for people.
It's amazing. So it's going to be very beneficial for things if you can afford to buy things. If you can afford to buy a bunch of stuff right now, it's going to be very beneficial for you. So it helps out people with money. Okay, got it.
People within a week or so, I think even before that in some instances. But the bottom line is costs are dropping for real people. I mean, the electric vehicle pieces of things.
Here we go.
When you look at the gas prices.
Oh my
it is
God.
just very significant when you think about being able to drive for essentially $1 a gallon. And there are lower.
Yeah, just buy an electric vehicle, you broke bastard. I am so sick of that talking point. It just shows the chasm between the Democrats mentally and their voters. I mean, the voters are rich, white, suburban women. Like, that's... the Democratic Party is no longer the party of the working class. That's clearly the thing, and that's why they continue to wink and nod at green energy, because green energy is for the rich. It's not for the poor. The poor can't afford green energy. Look at third world countries. Look at countries that are coming up. They're not investing in green energy unless they're being forced to by other countries to sign the accords and stuff like that, because you can't afford it.
God. Cost models. I mean, I drive a Chevy Bolt, and that MSRP, the manufactured...
and again, this White House constantly talks about green energy, and you will never hear them utter the words Tesla in their mouth. It's just like the inventor. It's like, well, let's just pretend like the person didn't even exist. I drive a Chevy Bolt. I recommend people buy a Chevy Bolt or, a GM or a Ford. Those are the only kind of electric vehicle manufacturer people I can think of at the moment.
Suggested retail price for that is like $28,000. You add a $7,500 tax credit, and some states...
Exactly. Buy a $30,000 car.
There are 14 states that have additional tax credits. Might be $2,000, might be $4,000. Now that's in an affordable range if you have to get a new car, and then you'd only be paying the equivalent of $1 a gallon by charging it up. That is a much more, that saves you thousands of dollars every year. Same thing with installing efficient appliances. If you install them and are saving hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars every year as a result of that, that brings down prices for real people, bills that they pay every single month. And that's really one of the great pieces of this, is that you will see that impact. And you talk about prescription.
Her answers to helping the American people is to buy more products, and then you're going to save, because the products you're going to buy are so technologically advanced, you're going to end up saving more on your bill. She's forgetting that there's a lot of people like me in the world who don't have a lot of money to just buy these things willy-nilly for the sake of whatever moral thing you want to justify of the day, or just like, I need to upgrade. I'm the kind of person that just buys a new car every single year. Like, these people are in La La Land. I think everyone, people like in the media, people and politicians, they assume you are just like them. You're just as rich as them. You live just like them. You pay people to get your groceries for you. You barely drive. That's why Joe Biden's all about trains. He's like, take a freaking train. It's like, those of us like me, when I lived in Chicago, I took the train all the time because I didn't have a car at the time. But taking the train is pretty scary at night, and sometimes throughout the day. These people aren't taking the train. This isn't like the 70s where everything's like totally cool now and there's actually real crime in inner cities and stuff like that. These people live in La La Land. That's why they always talk about how you should live, but they would never live the same way. They're in their gated communities. They have their wink and nod to their rich friends, and they just think that like you live the same life as them. That's why they're so quick to talk about I'm just blanking. Oh, that's why they always talk about like white privilege and stuff like that. It's because they have it. God, they know what it's like to just get by in life. Or I have a friend, I make one phone call and I have a job. A lot of people like myself don't have that in their life. And so they don't understand when I push back and say, I can't afford an electric vehicle. They don't get it. And that's the chasm right now. They are so well off and live such a different life. They expect your life is exactly the same as theirs. And so they argue from that place. You can always tell how well off someone is by the way they argue, especially if they vote Democrat, by the way they argue for this administration. You can tell how well, like I have very rich friends who vote Democrat, and they if I bring up inflation, they just roll their eyes and they're like, what inflation? Like, what are you talking about? Or I talk about the recession and stuff like that. They're like, what do you even mean? We're doing just fine. Yeah, we had a little bump, but things are going to even out. Like, these people don't even balance their checkbooks just like the government. I think I'm done listening to her. Let's check back on live news, see if anything updates.
Of sex trafficking. So we're going to be moving on to some of these other top stories. Like I said, we wanted to update regarding the FBI raid.
I wanted to see if there was any updates. Okay.
To the Republican Party. And so I hope that we do not.
Hey, H. Potter. I will not benefit from buying either an electric car or solar panels due to my time constraints. On the other hand, China produces solar panels on their car batteries. Exactly. You know, they always talk about how we don't want to be held hostage due to these oil companies and these countries and stuff like that. It's like they just make out to be green energy is just like the be all end all. It's perfect. It's godly. It's holy. And I can't believe you're against it because it's just all good. And then you bring up things like H. Potter just did. What about batteries? What about solar panels? Who's gonna refine? Who's going to dig up the rare earth minerals? Who's going to do stuff like that? Because it's not gonna be us. Oh dear God, it's not gonna be us. We don't want to ruin our public lands. So, like, what? Who is going to do it? Oh, China and places like Africa will come to the rescue. We'll dirty up their countries and buy up all their stuff. And then what happens when those batteries go bad and those solar panels go bad? Who's going to replace them? And then when those batteries go bad, those solar panels go bad, where do we put them? Because I don't know if you've looked up things like old electronics in like landfills in Africa, just stacked to the brim, and how those minerals and rare earth minerals, things that you build your computer with, just seep into their water supply. You know, it's okay for them, but for us, add mine at the site. It's like the Germans, those Christian Germans listening to the Jews on the train. Just sing a little louder. No one will hear. And no one will care. Everything's just fine.
Away with it, they still might need those other voters in order to clinch victory later on.
Right, that's correct. So you can't just say, I'm going to...
H. Potter, I don't know when you joined, but I've been checking in on the Alaska and Wyoming. We will stay up to date as I'm live just to make sure in case any information comes down. Also to watch in case Liz Cheney loses, which I assume she's going to lose, watch them cry.
Dollars to spend depending on what happens in this race. And you mentioned that people even there at her campaign headquarters were feeling rather dour about her chances against Harriet Hageman. What are some of the speculations about her future? Granted, we're projecting this race, so we'll see what happens there. But what does the future look like if she does not succeed?
Well, I think the broad thrust of what Congresswoman Cheney's been doing for the last year and a half or so has been trying to stop Donald Trump from being president of the United States again. There are any number of ways in which she could do that. There's been talk among her supporters about a bid for the Republican nomination for president in 2024, about an independent bid for president in 2024. There are any number of organizations she could try to lead, perhaps a super PAC, something like that. But it doesn't seem like she's in the mood to give up this fight after a battle in what is her home state, but also a very Trumpy state.
Trumpy.
And if she moves forward in that way,
how's that a
John,
real
it's also
quote?
A matter of dealing with the January 6th committee. She is the vice chair. Congressman Benny Thompson is the chair.
Oh, could you imagine Liz Cheney running for president? Hilarious. An independent Liz Cheney.
Prescription drugs. Some of that will roll in a little bit later as they do the negotiations. But
how you doing, H. Potter?
Will
how's
be
life?
effective within months.
How's
So
your day? How's your Tuesday
I think
going?
you'll see real impact for people ASAP.
I'm glad to hear you drive that Chevy Volt. I'd be disappointed as like former governor of the great state of Michigan if you were driving anything that wasn't made by Detroit. Here's
Liz Cheney for president? Yes, I no one ever exactly. God. Dude, could you imagine? I would love to see her debate anyways. And then if Fox News wouldn't know what to do with it.
We're kind of friends with the Cheneys, so I don't know.
I want to get to the politics just a little bit, right? Because I know the messaging of this bill is something there's a lot of discussion going on in the White House about right now. We've seen some Ron Klain memo that ended up in the press about what you guys are going to do. There's going to be this bigger event coming up in the next month. I want to just put up a couple important facts. Let's start with the support for the bill. Just a couple quick things. People love this stuff that's in this bill. We're going to Political Morning Consult poll, putting this up here. On the Medicare negotiating drug prices, 73% support, 11% oppose. On the reducing the budget deficit by $300 billion, 73% support, 9% oppose. On the climate stuff, 54% oppose or support and 32% oppose. So this bill is popular. The big provisions are popular, but there's an Ipsos poll that asks people how familiar they are with the Inflation Reduction Act, and that things are underwater. 41% familiar, 59% unfamiliar. So the challenge there is clear. And I just want to hear you talk a little bit about this.
That is the dumbest question I've ever heard in my life. These voters need to be familiar with the name of the bill. Okay, next video. Oh, here we go. Look. Oh, here we go. You and I yesterday went through an bipartisan congressional budget office saying this new Inflation Reduction Act bill is going to raise $20 billion on the middle class. I can't reiterate this enough because I want people to have that in their head so they know. Look at this freeze frame. They're like happy so they know how much these people will just lie to your face. Here he is again touting absolute nonsense. And people will lap it up because they'll be like, well, Biden said it's not going to raise taxes on people of $40,000 and under. I mean, 400,000 and under. So, whatever source you're getting it from, nonpartisan congressional budget office, I have never heard of that. This is Biden. It's different. All right, let's listen.
No one, let me emphasize, no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay a penny more in federal taxes. Folks.
George is getting upset.
God. You know it's a lie because he keeps saying it over and over again. So it creates the psychosis. It creates for the masses that catch that one point. And so he's just going to say it over and over again. So you start to believe the lie. You start to be like,
okay. All right. Now, okay. Yeah. Okay. You said it enough. I get it now. Oh, so it's not going to raise any taxes on anyone making $400,000 and below, even though, a nonpartisan congressional budget office said that that's completely false, but I digress. Those stories will go in nice and quietly because no one cares until people actually start to have to pay their taxes, and then they see it for themselves. These people don't care. Who's clapping? Is that record applause? No, it's not record applause. I saw some of the video, and we're going to get more into some of the videos, but it feels like it, doesn't it? Don't you think they have like a clap sign? It's like beep, beep. It's like Jimmy Kimmel. Laugh now. It's like Stephen Colbert. Laugh now. That was a joke. That was a joke. That was a joke. God. We just live in such Orwellian times. This is an Inflation Reduction Act, though it's going to do the opposite. Okay, next clip. Okay, I saw this clip today, too, after he signed the bill. He signs the bill, and then it looks like the most dementia patient video. This dude constantly looks lost, and I don't really know what to do about it. But you tell me. God, my camera is just trash. Okay, here we go. Here is Biden. I feel like they treat him like such a child. I don't know. It's just so weird with him. And then we have, here we go. Biden taking a little swipe at Republicans per usual. Because, he's got to have his little victory lap talking about how great his bill is and how everyone against it is a Republican.
Let's be clear. In this historic moment, Democrats sided with the American people, and every single Republican in the Congress sided with the special interest in this vote. I feel like I need to hear this video clip one more time because it's such political lies that it's almost like delicious. All right, let's listen. Let's be clear. In this historic moment, Democrats sided with the American people, and every single Republican in the Congress sided with the special interest in this vote. Every single one. Yes. We're not talking about the special interests on the green sector of that we winked and nodded, maybe some China, some of the deals that we're going to take for China's solar panels and batteries. We're not going to talk about that kind of special interest. We're talking about, I don't know, gun manufacturer and oil special interest. I love how they just pretend like they're like above it. They're like, this is what the American people want. The American people want to pay more in taxes. They want 87,000 more IRS agents who are fully armed, which we'll get to later. Some of the clips that came out from today. Some photo evidence of them pointing guns at people. Interesting. And then I just love how they just pretend like this green energy is, it's just everyone wants it. Everyone wants to pay more for their electrical bills. Everyone wants to feel good about it. Just like Ukraine. Your gas has gone up due to Russia invading, so you should be thanking what we're doing in Ukraine over your bill. Okay? In fact, the big drug companies spent nearly one... I'm sorry, what was that? Companies spent nearly single one. In fact, the big drug companies... Did he just say the big Trump companies? What the frick? In fact, the big drug companies. One more time. Every single one. In fact, the big drug companies. Wait, did he say Trump or drug? Was that a little TDS right in front of our faces? Spent nearly $100 million to defeat this bill. $100 million. And remember, every single Republican in Congress voted against this bill. Every single Republican in Congress voted against lowering prescription drug prices, against lowering health care costs, against the fairer tax system. Every single Republican, every single one, voted against tackling the climate crisis,
against lowering our energy costs, against creating good-paying jobs. My fellow Americans.
I love how he makes it out to seem like Republicans are like this Disney-esque evil character who's just like, you will not have good-paying jobs. You will not have cheap health care. We will make you pay. And then they believe like a bunch of Republicans are like, yeah, we want to pay more for health care. It's just, I'm like dumbfounded by how many people believe that kind of crap. In his earpiece constantly, stop thinking about Trump. Yeah, I know. He's like, Trump and it. Oh, God, get this man out of here.
That's the choice we face. We can protect the already powerful or show the courage to build a future where everybody has an even shot. That's the America I believe in. Let's be clear.
That's the what you believe in? America?
That's the America I believe in.
Dude, I believe in that America as well. How about the Derek I believe in? It's me.
You crazy as hell.
I know, Medea. Oh, so happy to lie for you. So happy to what creates a politician? Like, are they just lied to their whole life so they go on lying to everyone else? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, I'm the one that's crazy. Not me. It's me. What are your thoughts on Biden being, God, it's like my camera. It's like, what way is my camera? Oh, it's right there. What are your thoughts on this? Again, I'm going to say it one more time before I finish this clip. A non-partisan Congressional Budget Office came out with a study yesterday saying that the American middle class, which is people under $400,000 a year, are going to pay $20 billion more in taxes to the IRS. And he's saying the complete opposite. Now, why would he lie? Why would a politician lie to your face? And not only just lie, say the same line over and over and over again, to the point where even after I read that study, start to go, maybe I read it wrong. Or maybe this guy's lying because he's saying the middle class is going to pay more, but Biden said we're not going to pay a dime. Because they lie in order to give winks and nods to their special interest groups and then create the two-class system, which is what they want. They want the poor feeding off the government, and then they want the rich continuing to prop them up so they continue to stay in power. It's just like the vicious cycle. It's a circle. What are your thoughts on this bill? Here's my full thought on this bill. It's just such a poop sandwich. Let's go to the next clip. Here we go. Same press conference. Same press conference today of cheers. Mineral water. Drink water, folks. It's good for the body. I don't know if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, but every time I make that noise, that's all I can think about. Or Seinfeld. Seinfeld does the same thing. But here's Chuck Schumer having a TDS moment.
After 4 years of a president who relished creating chaos, Americans are seeing what it looks like to have a president.
Biden has always been a politician. He's used to lying. Yeah, exactly. I know. But H. Potter, I'm just like, there are so many people that think Biden is a good, decent human being. And that
is incredible. That might be the biggest lie about him that he's ever told, or that the media has ever told. Like, we have so much information about Biden and his past that they just overlook constantly. But isn't it funny that Chuck Schumer is talking about how Trump created chaos? No. The people that created chaos when Trump was in power was clearly the corporate press. They were nuts. They were losing their minds constantly. And they wanted you on edge all the time. They loved it. They wanted you to be freaking out. They wanted you to be losing your mind all the time. And that's all they care about. Why does that look like... Does my video look okay? Looks like my frames aren't dropping. I don't know. Weird. But they were the ones that created chaos. Corporate media, them, and all that stuff.
And a Congress that's focused on delivering results that make their lives better. Mr. President, you've restored dignity, respect, and a sense of action back to the Oval Office. Thank you, thank you, thank you. After 4 years of a president who relished creating chaos.
Insane. Have I ever seen Chuck Schumer's wife? She's quite manly. No. I have not. Oh my God. I feel like my camera... I think I need a new computer. It's like... No! It's like glitchy. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next clip. I haven't seen Chuck Schumer's wife, but I feel like I need to. Okay. Okay. Like, CNN is even freaking out about this bill a little bit, which I love. You love to see it. But here's a perfect example. Again, the Inflation Reduction Act doesn't do what it said it's going to do, as a nonpartisan congressional budget office came out and said. It's amazing. This is like the Build Back Better with just a different name. And I'm glad CNN's at least calling this out. Here's a perfect interface. Kaylon, what up? If Liz Cheney wins, I'm doing 10 lines of cocaine. She better not. I'm checking right now. All right. I have live news going on to give updates about Liz Cheney. Don't worry. There's no way. The only way Liz Cheney wins is if too many Republicans believe the election process is too rigged that they don't go out and vote, which is a huge issue. You have to like believe. You have to believe in the economy. You have to believe in the election integrity, or else you're not going to go out and vote, and you need people to vote. So, and then the way the Wyoming is, at least what I've read, is that Democrats can vote in this election. So I'm sure they're going out in droves for Liz Cheney, which is just insane. Like, if she wins, gross. She's the worst. It's amazing how many Democrats have decided that the Cheneys are actually good people all of a sudden. I think the Democratic Party is just hilarious. They went from being anti-war, anti-big government, no, always big government, anti-war, anti-big pharma, and being a rage against the machine, to just going full-fledged leftist. It's just unreal. And they call people on the right crazy. Yes, the right has gotten a little bit more right, a little bit more populist because of all the corruption. Democrats will be desperate in the midterms, so they will. Yeah, well, you got to get out there. Tell your friends and family to vote in the midterms. It's very important. Help people, help people help people do all the stuff that they do. You got to do it. You can't just assume. I think it's voting is kind of like the same thing as education system. I think too many Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, stuff like that, people just assume their kids were being taught things. When you have people like me who have worked in education saying that hasn't been their
indoctrinating your children. I constantly say that. But so there are people on the right are waking up to the education system more and more and more and seeing the importance of just the school board and getting involved and stuff like that. I think like voting's the same. I think Republicans need to act the same way Democrats do as far as like getting people to sign up to vote, helping people get their ballots in, whatever means necessary. Like they just need to do, they need to play the same game instead of just like being so isolationist with this kind of stuff and just keeping it under wraps and not talking about it and not encouraging your friends and family to vote and stuff like that. The Democrats are way better at messaging than Republicans are. I think Republicans are getting better about it because it's very, it has to change. You can't just have this, you know, just leave me alone theory. We can't have that in this world anymore. You can't be a conservative Republican or any person in the parties and have that mentality of like, just leave me alone. I want to work my job anymore, because that mentality has created the chaos and the insanity in which we live in today. We allowed a monster just to continue to grow in size. But here's CNN calling out this bill.
You passed a bill called the Fill Every Pothole Act. I mean, voters should expect you to fill every pothole. I mean, so should voters measure the success of this bill on how much you reduce inflation in the next couple of years?
So this bill spins out over several years. And so the tax provisions, for example, some of the tax revenue will happen immediately.
You passed a bill called the Fill.
Oh, I love it. I love at least they're happy to call out like the Orwellian terminology as far as like how in your face they are about naming these bills. We're reducing the inflation, okay? And at the same time you're reducing inflation. Apparently Americans are moving more and more to Mexico. Maybe Mexico needs to have a border for us as inflation continues to rise and we get ready for the recession. I feel like more people are going to move to Mexico due to a lot of their jobs being able to work from home. But let's watch this video. This might be interesting.
A refuge for migrants.
I grew up in New York, LA, Atlanta, Georgia.
Perhaps not the border crossing you expected. Americans leaving pricey U.S. cities, heading south to work from home in Mexico City.
It is starting to feel like home. I've been here for several months already.
Born and raised in the U.S., Eric Rodriguez hardly speaks Spanish and admits he's not here to rediscover his Mexican roots so much as to save money.
In San Diego, my apartment.
Whoa. Now this is a haircut. This guy looks like the bad guy from The Incredibles. What the heck, dude? Eric Rodriguez.
Man, was probably $2,500 for one bedroom for studio. For studio. Here, I have a one bedroom and I pay $800 a month.
The State Department says 1.6 million U.S. citizens live in Mexico, but they don't say how many are living and working there on tourist visas. The Mexican government does not track that data either, but they recorded more than 5.3 million American tourists flying in during just the first 5 months of this year, nearly 1 million more than that same period in 2019.
I don't know if you guys saw, but there was like an LA Times article about how many Americans are moving to Mexico, and you had all these like Mexican residents complaining about Americans going to their cities, and they're being mad because like this man went to a restaurant and everyone in the restaurant was speaking English and no one knew Spanish, and he was just like so mad about it. And then they started like making it like a white supremacy thing. It was so funny. Calling precinct chair this week to see how I can help with the nice. That's awesome, H. Potter. Good for you, man. Need more people to get involved, even like, you know, locally. It's important. Let's check on the live news.
Clean energy goods. Then the Inflation Reduction Act is very good news to you. Now, then when you add on to it, also, again, key to Bidenomics.
What made you want to do that, H. Potter? I'm curious. What made you want to get involved like that? Because I think a lot of people
make excuses. I don't have enough time and stuff like that. You find time for the things you want to do in life. But I'm curious what made you want to do that.
Half of the top 1%.
All right, they're not talking about the election. I think this might actually be funny. We have MSNBC just having their moment about Biden. And then, that story makes me angry. I want to hear a little bit of this.
California Democratic Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, who is a
This is about Liz Cheney.
member of the January 6th committee. It's good to see you. And, there's just so much else happening related to Donald Trump that we haven't really heard a lot publicly from the committee during recess. Can you give us an update on what you've been doing and when we might hear more from your committee publicly?
Eric Rodriguez probably moved to Mexico to get his testosterone pills. Oh my God. Poor Eric Rodriguez. With a head full of hair like that, yeah.
Well, we're working away as it's a very active investigation. More information is coming in. As we announced, we will have
if this isn't where is it? This way. Oh, weird. Okay. If this isn't a perfect face of the Democratic Party, I don't know what is. She represents everything the Democrats are about. Great glasses, though. God.
at least one public hearing in September.
My name's Zoe.
We're also working on our report. So there's a lot going on when it comes to the former president. We're all observing these events, but it's not within the committee's purview. That's a DOJ matter. But
boring. All right. I'm just worried about the way the Democrats have been fortifying the elections. Thank you for saying that with mail-in ballot. Yep. You remember that Times article about how they fortified the election? Just so in your face about it. Of course they did. This idea that these big companies are just like all about the free market and conservative or Republican is such a lie. It's the complete opposite. They don't want competition whatsoever. They hate it. They hate competition. Above all else, you know? Oh, here we go. Biden cancels another $3.9 billion in student debt for defunct ITT colleges, pushing a total of $32 billion as all borrowers face nail-biting wait to see if the White House will extend the freeze past September. Education announced another round of targeted student loan forgiveness. These people that have gotten degrees and are in massive debt are some of the most entitled people ever. What about the people that couldn't afford to go to college? What about people like me who worked while in college to pay off my college? I lived like nobody else so I can live like no one else. I did not go out and have a crazy college experience because I couldn't afford it. I worked. So people like me get penalized while people that they're just like the government. You don't have to actually ever balance your budget. You don't have to live within your means. You don't have to learn how to, reap what you sow, pay off your debt. Big daddy, big corporate daddy, big government is going to come in and save you and save the day. And then Joe Biden's going to say, hey, look, I'm the one that gave you this free education. Remember that. So you vote for me the rest of your life. And who fits the bill at the end? Oh, it's the rich people. No, it's the average American person. As always, we just continue to go farther in debt. They never have to balance their budget. And then they just complain and ask for more funding and ask for higher taxes or find secret ways to get more money from you, whether it's more green energy and having higher taxes on your cars. They'll find ways to get more money. They'll eventually, I believe, just cancel student debt for everyone. It'll be like the stupidest thing ever. There'll be some kind of executive or something that gets passed. And these entitled people who went to college and are on average are making more money than the average person who didn't go to college because they couldn't afford college, they get screwed in the end. It's always the poor that get screwed in the end. But the poor continue to vote for these type of people. It's just depressing to me. I wish my generation of people, I know a lot of teachers are to blame, education's to blame for pushing people to go to college.
Find your personality, find your American dream. Everyone needs to go to college so you can find yourself, experiment a little bit, because you don't know what you're going to do when you grow up. That whole lie was sold to my generation, and now you have so many people in debt for stupid degrees that they should have never have gotten, and now they're screaming, help! I don't know how to do this whole paying off debt thing. It's so aggressive. Like, I know I have people I work with, right, that are in massive amount of debt for their student loans, and in the same light, they're buying new cars while you have me driving an old truck because I know how to live within my means. They don't. And so when we just, cancel the student debt, they never learn how to do it. They never learn how to reap what they sow. They never learn how to pay off debt. They never say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have got that job. And then they force. You need people to feel the consequences of their actions instead of just wipe the slate clean. Because basically, the government is just like Jesus. You just got to believe in it, and you shall be free. What are your thoughts on paying for student debt? The most entitled generation ever. It's just unreal. I don't know if you saw this as well. Severe U.S. house prices are starting to have a little bit of a downturn and could fall up to 15%, which is huge for people that can't afford houses. Interest rates are going up, so we'll figure that out. I guess I'm actually going to be paying the same amount in interest and my housing payment as I would have just paid for that more expensive house. But whatever. I paid off my nursing degree and teaching degree. H. Potter, that's why you're here. Because you get it. I like people like you. You're kind of like me, I'm sure. You do what you need to do in order to do what you want to do. You have a nursing degree, a teaching degree, and you decide you pay it off. Look, when I paid off my debt, I was eating chicken, rice, and beans so many times. While my friends who are in incredible college debt were going out to eat all the time. And they're just like, you never come out with us. I'm like, because I'm trying to pay off my student loans. They're like, that stuff will get figured out. I'm just going to hope that, the government is going to come in, swoop in, and get rid of that for me because there's no way I can pay this off. I'm like, yeah, there is a way you can pay it off. You just don't want to live like how I lived in order to pay it off. They're like, yeah, I know. I don't want to live like that because then I will be face to face with a stupid idea of going to this stupid college because in the end, I didn't really have to get a degree for what I'm doing right now anyways. At least with your degree, H. Potter, I don't know if you're a nurse, but you had to get a degree in order to be in that field. That's awesome that you had to do that. I'm in the same kind of field. I had to have a degree in order to be in that field. So it's good. Mr. Tubbs, I saw hanging out with liberals. I think Mr. Tubbs, I can completely understand that. I go through phases where like I have a lot of liberal friends and I like hanging out with them because I like picking their brain of like, why do you actually believe that? But there's sometimes I'm like, I can't
hang out with them. Like when Roe vs. Wade was overturned, I did not hang out with my liberal friends for a while because I'm just like, I can't be around you guys. They were talking about like how depressing and how like this America's over, and I'm like, I'm gonna move. I'm like, you live in a state where abortion's still illegal, so what's your problem? Like, it's just a dark day in history, and like, I couldn't do it anymore. Speaking of not doing it anymore, Maryland County brings back mask mandate. We're back to it doesn't matter about the science. It matters. We gotta show everyone that we're still in this together. And Maryland County is bringing back school mask mandates to 2020 year, citing an uptick in COVID cases, which we'll get to in a second. Right here, we have Biden's COVID czar talking about social distancing. And what did he say about social distancing? You might find this video interesting because a lot of people might be vindicated. And I don't know if you're like me at this point when we're talking about COVID. A lot of things this administration is allowed to say was seen as hate speech. And how dare you? Oh my God, people are dying. Don't make those kind of jokes. Don't say that kind of thing. We have to be socially distanced 3,000 feet apart. It's the only way to live. But here's Biden's czar talking about social distancing. Now, if this was Trump's czar, the media would be talking about how dangerous his rhetoric is. I can't believe what's coming out of his mouth. How dangerous. People are going to die from these words. Here he is, Mr. Czar himself.
We used to spend a lot of time talking about 6 feet of distance, 15 minutes of being together. We realized that's actually not the right way to think about this. That's not the kind of the most accurate way to think about this. What we know about this virus, particularly these very contagious subvariants that are out there right now, is it's really about the quality of air you're breathing around you. In a crowded indoor space with poor ventilation, you can get infected within minutes. If you're outdoors, with obviously by definition good ventilation, you can be outside for long periods of time and not get infected. So we used to spend a lot of time talking
I feel like so many things in which we were told this is the science. I know their whole thing is that the science has changed. So, of course, so many people are going to get vindicated more and more and more. I don't know who you are or where you are in that time. I know a lot of people were scared, and so people agreed to do things that maybe they would never agree to do, thinking back of like, wow, why did I give up my freedom that easily? Why did I say okay to doing those things when I shouldn't have done that? Isn't that the same guy that showed his junk on the... No. No. You're thinking of Gary Tubin? Jeffrey Tubin from CNN. He does look alike, though. Oh, let's look up a picture of Jeffrey Tubin. Jeffrey Tubin. Pretty close. Almost. This is like Justin Trudeau and Fidel Castro. It does look like him, I know. Oh, Mr. Tubin. Mr. Tubin with the Lubin. God. So gross. I love how welcomed he was back to the fold immediately. Dude, I saw this video today and I just thought, I gotta share this. Way too cool not to share. This is a solar eclipse from 46,000 feet. I think this video is sick. How cool is that? I don't know. Nerd moment. It's freaking awesome. It just goes away. I don't know. I thought that was cool. Cool.
You crazy as hell.
I know. Thanks, Medea. Okay. Sorry about the language on this tweet, but I think this is so funny too. You know how the saying is like the left can't meme? They really can't. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tubbs. It is cool. The left cannot meme. This is the LA Times account, the meme account. And some of the memes they post. Like, they just don't know how to meme. Too hot to handle. If you can't handle her at her impeding climate disaster, then you don't deserve her at her stunning biodiversity. This is from LA Times 404. Make sure to follow this account. IBS Girl Summer. Little Mr. Nose over mask. Oh my God. This is so stupid. Putting environmental regulations. The SCOTUS ruling will sharply limit Biden administration authority to restrict carbon pollution. Oh my God. The left killed comedy, movies, and music. I know. They're like intentionally doing that. Here's a depressed puppet. I don't know. But it's just... I don't know what that is, but that was way better. Oh, and this is a good video too. They can't meme. They kill... I don't know have you ever watched, like, Mr. Tubbs, have you ever watched, like, some of the leftist comedians? Like, what is her name? She's kind of bigger and she's Australian. Oh, I'm blanking on her name. She is terrible. Just bad. Oh, okay. Here is some of the pictures. This is some pictures from today. This is actual pictures from the IRS recruiting program. All right. These are real pictures from the IRS recruiting program. You know how they just bought out all that ammo and they're hiring 87,000 new agents. Oh my God, Mr. Nelson. But here we go. Look at some of these pictures. Like, what? What is going on? This is the IRS police. They put this out. So they're getting ready to start pointing guns at people, which is just so great. You know, they're not going to come after you. What are you talking about? Also, fitness test? Huh? I love how the diversity it shows in this picture. It's one dude in a wheelchair and 4 white women. That is like my worst nightmare. 4 white IRS agent women showing up at my door, probably with masks on, and they're like, "Excuse me." But here's another picture from the IRS. Everyone has guns. You know, they're not a police force. All right. It's just a bunch of nerdy dorks trying to get your money, make sure you don't cheat on taxes, and making sure the rich do not evade taxes. I'm sorry, but doesn't this look like a leftist army? I mean, seriously, though. This looks like a leftist army. And then here's one more picture. Look at this girl. Horrible farm. I know. It's so bad. And then look at this guy. Right there. Is there a fitness test? I mean, by the looks of these people, I can run away from all of them. Like, what's going on? I shoot a lot in this horrible form. Yeah, me too. It's bad. It's bad. Like, who is this? Of course, I'm wearing green. You can't even see me. But the way his arm is like, at least with like this girl right here, it looks a little bit better. But his is just bad. And this girl is like posing for a prom picture. Like, let's get it, girls. Like, what is going on? This is our IRS agency. Thank God the Inflation Reduction Act passed. We get pictures like this. They're just going after the rich, not you. They don't need 87,000 agents for you. They need it for the rich people. Okay. So weird. So just like, I mean, the government continues to get more powerful, stronger than ever. Charlie's Angels, I know.
Let's get them, girl. We're going to get those taxes. You'll never escape us. Okay, not kidding.
All right, next. It's just, we're just in a crazy world. Everyone and their mom was sharing this clip of Joe Rogan talking about, apparently some kid was learning about masturbation for homework. This is not a joke.
This is not a drill, people.
TikTok did where kids, kindergartners. How about one Libs of TikTok did where kids, kindergartners. What's that, age 5? Kindergartners.
Yeah, 6?
5, 6.
6, first grade.
Yeah. Sent home with a masturbation assignment.
What?
The masturbation assignment was to find a private place in your home where you can touch yourself without being disturbed.
Is that real?
Real.
Jesus.
Real.
Fucking, I might have retweeted that, and I'm saying, what?
Masturbation assignment for kindergartners. I mean, this kind of stuff, it's like...
Shocked, but not, because I did read this one thing where they were talking about kids that were preteens, and they were describing, like, different ways that people have sex. And I'm like, I just don't necessarily think that's your place. And I don't... It's a complex thing that I don't necessarily want taught by someone who I don't even know. I don't know what you're like. I don't know.
I'm going to put this in the jar of obvious points by Joe Rogan, but because Joe Rogan say, everyone's like, look, he's like me.
But how are you going to say this? Are you going to say this in a way that's promoting a certain thing? Or what are you going to do? Because children are very malleable, and most people want to be the ones, other than the world itself. But in terms of like authority figures that are explaining things, you don't want someone explaining things to your kid that you absolutely don't agree with.
Right, or that you don't think they're ready for yet.
Yes.
Right.
And you don't want that.
It should happen on your timing.
You want it to be, look, I've had some great teachers, but I also had some fucking dummies, some real dummies that said some stupid shit to me,
Yeah.
I remember,
I'm going to go on a limb here. Majority of my teachers were pretty dumb. I think I had like 3 teachers who I considered great teachers. I feel like I learned a lot from, but the other people were like,
just open your books and read by yourself.
I feel like that's like 90% of American education is just like,
open your books and the lesson is placed out in front of you. I'll grade your papers for you.
Even when I worked in education, that was like 90% of what was going on anyways. It was just like the teacher would do like a 5-minute lesson, and then majority of the rest of the class time, they were reading on their own and completing assignments on their own. And it was just like, no wonder 13-year-old boys don't do well in this school, because they're bored out of your mind. I'm bored.
Gosh. Teacher kicking me out of the room, telling the class, don't laugh, because he's never going to amount to anything.
Oh, wow.
Like, Mr. Rogan's never going to amount to anything. And I remember, like, why would you say that to a fucking 8-year-old?
Now, did you internalize that? Is all of this, your whole trajectory now in your career is to
I definitely remember
stick it to that teacher?
I'd be like, ha. But it was me cracking a joke in class. But the whole point is, like, you shouldn't say that to kids. Yeah. If you're a fucking teacher, you shouldn't say to a kid, you're never going to amount to anything. That's
not
a crazy thing to say to a kid.
That's messed up.
Now that I think about it, I think I was 14. But it's not a thing that you should say to a kid. It's a rude, shitty thing. And if you're an adult and that's what they're going to get from you, that's crazy.
I remember talking about that masturbation assignment as well, and how incredibly disgusting that is. And then I think I had like a 30 or 40-minute video even discussing it, because of how insane that is, and the brain development of a kid at that age, and what's important for the kid, especially some of these ages in which they were talking about masturbation, is building trust. And this is not a trusting exercise. This is kids and sexuality. They can't really comprehend a lot internally, due to neuroplasticity and brain function and cognitive development and stuff like that. They just don't have the capacity to learn these things or understand what they're learning. So they're mimicking a lot of what they learn, and they just like mimic the teacher. So when the teacher talks about masturbation, they just mimic those things. And so they're just like creating children to do things of which they have no idea what's understanding, but they're just like, this is what my teacher says is good, so I have to do it. It's very sadistic and just disgusting. And That's why people, when they call them groomers, you tell me if that's grooming, because obviously these kids don't know what these words mean or what this means. Okay, here's a video that came out today about parents. In this video about parents do not feel safe in New York. You're never going to amount to anything is still better than go find a place to touch yourself. That is 100% true, H. Potter. God, that's true. A lot of teachers hated me in class too. They were just like, I was a class clown. I talked back. Or if a teacher said something that I totally disagreed with politically or environmentally and stuff like that, I would question it in class. And so teachers would love me. The same way our press secretary looks at Peter Doocy, my teachers used to look at me. Just hate. But here is New York parents not feeling safe due to nudity, sex acts, and drug use outside of schools. Is this another one of those you reap what you sow? Oh, you should have been paying attention to vote before you vote people. Again, these people will be affected, but the rich people in New York who live in these nice communities that have heavy policing will continue to vote for these same policies. Here we go.
In this exclusive video obtained by Fox 5 News, you see a person injecting a syringe into their arm in a basement laundry room. In yet another video obtained exclusively by Fox 5, you see another person sitting casually smoking what police tell us is probably crystal meth. These are not isolated incidents. People living here on West 21st Street between 8th and 9th Avenues are trying to cope with an influx of drug addicts who have turned their once lovely neighborhood into a 24-hour drug and sex den. It's become the go-to destination for dealers and users. The drug of choice, crystal methamphetamine. To make matters even worse, all of this is happening in front of a school. Fox 5 was first there in June at PS 11, where parents tell us their children have seen way too much nudity, sex acts, drug use, and threatening behavior. For parents picking them up from school, it's like a walk through Dante's Inferno.
We have people going around the block for the past 3 years, taking drugs, having sex in the basements, break-ins, different type of intrusions. But basically, we feel like the area is not safe for our kids.
I mean, that's very sad. It's very sad. But these are the policies of the Democratic Party. You only lock up certain individuals. You call everyone that's on the street who are open air using drugs. You call them just homeless people. So no repercussions. Get away with whatever. Criminals are let off very easily. They're taken out of jail immediately. This is why people are leaving these cities, and that's why they're begging people to come back. They're just freaking out. I mean, it's just insane. Super sad. I have some empathy for her, but I really have empathy towards the children who are heavily affected by this, who no fault of their own, their stupid parents are voting for these policies because these parents believe this is a way to be empathetic. This is what the criminals need. They need to just be allowed to open air use in front of our 5-year-old children. Like, this is an okay place to be. It just depresses me for those kids. And they have to grow through that, and they have to be put through the trauma of seeing that on the playground, seeing it on the way home from school, being afraid for their life, seeing their parents afraid for their life and stuff like that, and not understanding why this is happening, or like why we live here, or is this the reality of everywhere in America? It's not. It's not the reality of everywhere in America. You can move somewhere that doesn't have these things. I saw this being passed around today, which was funny, about the FDA hearing aid final rule. It's funny, President Biden was taking a victory lap about the FDA. For millions of Americans, hearing aids and the Dr. Visigo prescribed are too expensive. An executive order I just issued last year to increase competition in key industries to lower costs. I called the FDA to making hearing aids available at the counter, which is funny. And I like that Greg Price called him out and said, Joe Biden today taking credit for being able to buy hearing aids over the counter. He fails to mention that the Over-Counter Hearing Aid Act that allowed this to happen was passed in 2017 and signed into law by President Donald Trump. Thanks, Trump. It's always these presidents. If it happens under their watch, Then they try to take credit. It's so gross. I hate that about politics so much. Also, this just came out today as well. Natural gas prices in Europe rise to a new record high. You're gonna have your ESG and you're gonna like it. God. And then we have this that came out today as well. I don't know if you saw this being passed around, but this is freaking nuts. Look at this freaking water spout in Florida. Those poor fishes. That came out today, which is so nutty. Also, just so you know, as far as geomagnetic storm predicted is August 18th, Thursday. So Thursday, August 18th, everyone's going to die. It's a final countdown. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. And next, I saw this being passed around today, which was so funny. Ryan Long comedy. Sometimes this stuff is funny, sometimes it's not, but I like this video. It's super funny. Here's Ryan Long asking people about bestiality, and then the whole reason behind this is because of monkeypox. I don't know if you saw the story being passed around about this dog being infected by monkeypox, and it said that it was because it was laying in the same bed as their owners. And then everyone was like, wait a minute. How did your dog get monkeypox again? It's just like the whole thing about how monkeypox even spreads. No one wants to talk about it. Everyone feels uncomfortable about it. So they just don't talk about it. So they're just like, well, I guess it's like orgy sex, but we're not going to talk about that. It can affect anyone. Really? It's just like COVID. It's like how it really affects people, how it really it's spread. They don't actually want to have a conversation with. They just want everyone to freak out. Everyone feel like the possibility of you having monkeypox is nigh. But this is really funny because he goes around to New York asking people about bestiality.
Do you think that there should be less bigotry against sort of like the bestiality community?
Like a cat or a dog? No.
But what if they can't help themselves?
Probably get some help.
Like a shock therapy thing, potentially, to shock it out of them?
Do you think Liz Cheney will lose her primary tonight? Let's check on it.
President Trump, and then agreeing to serve as vice chair on the January 6th Select Committee. Here in Wyoming,
Harriet Hageman or Liz Cheney?
Oh,
I think Liz Cheney is going to lose. I do believe that she's going to lose. I think there's too many Republicans to vote for Hagerman or whatever. I am kind of sad. The Hagerman clips that I've seen, I haven't been impressed by her. It makes me feel like I could just move to Wyoming and run against Liz Cheney because some of her clips that I saw were just kind of cringe and didn't seem very put together. But I didn't see a lot, so don't take it with a grain of salt. There could be clips out there that she looks like an absolute genius. I have no idea. But I think she's going to lose. But it's hard to tell with how many Democrats are going to come out for this election too, because they see it as an attack on the democracy or whatever crap they want to bring up. But I think she's going to lose. Liz Cheney is going to lose. My prediction is this. Liz Cheney will lose, and then within a few months, she will have a show on MSNBC. Mark my words.
But her wins.
And it'll be all about January 6th every single day.
Facing headwinds to keep her seat as one of Trump's top targets.
She's by far the worst.
My campaign is not about Donald Trump.
Murkowski expected to survive this primary round.
All right, Ali Vitale and Vaughn Hilliard join us now live from the campaign.
That girl's name is Ali Vitale.
We reported that you recently spoke with Senator Murkowski just
moments
real
name.
ago. I know you asked her about where she fits into the Republican Party.
I did ask that question, and it felt like the right one, especially given the way that she has acted towards the former president over the course of the last few years, and even during his tenure in Washington. She's someone who voted to convict him of impeachment charges. Certainly, that's one of the reasons why she's one of Trump's top targets in these midterms. But her answer was that she hoped that the Republican Party...
Palin, maybe.
With the fact that it felt like it...
I don't know. It's always hard when an old candidate decides to rear its naked head again. You never know. You never know how like the voters are gonna take that. Like even candidates I like, when they just come back out of the woodwork, I'm like, I'm kind of over you, dude.
While I have you, I do want to ask you one quick follow-up, though, on Sarah Palin. You've been talking to voters down there. What are her chances looking like?
Well, look, her national appeal, Tom, is both a sell and something that could cut against her because her opponents are seizing on the fact that during this campaign season, she has spent time campaigning everywhere else but Alaska, it seems, at least the way that they tell that story. Her national name ID is something that she's leaning on here. But look, voters in this state want someone who can speak to Alaska issues. It's entirely possible that Palin's national profile might make her too national in the eyes of voters, too. Her win here, not...
Has my thoughts as well.
All right, Allie, we thank you for your...
Some of these politicians are so worried about everyone in America liking them that they forget who's actually voting for these people.
Say she has appeared in public a few times talking about Liz Cheney. No public events scheduled over the weekend or on Monday. So, Vaughn, I have to ask you, was this a campaign strategy or did she sort of know the inevitable?
You know, it's still kind of an outstanding question, to be honest there, Tom. The campaign is not commenting on any potential security issues which have been suggested may have been the case for her not having these public appearances. We should note that for the better part of more than a year now, she has had a special Capitol Police detail follow alongside of her, and the only members of Congress who get that special detail are those who have had credible threats made against them. At the same time, it was months ago that campaign allies were making the case to me that they believe that Liz Cheney would be able to change the opinions of so many Republican voters, including those here in Wyoming, through those January 6 public hearings, a national stage, national TV, and would be able to, including right here in her own backyard, be able to bring over some of those Republicans and convince them that her fight against Donald Trump, an effort to bring justice in the aftermath of the January 6 insurrection, would lead voters to ultimately back her. Ultimately, we'll find that out tonight.
And Vaughn, while I have you, I know you've been covering the former president's influence on the party over the last year. As we reach now the end of this primary season, have you seen any change at all with the way Republican voters view former President Trump?
You know, time after investigation, after this Mar-a-Lago raid, we have seen voters continue to stick by these Trump-backed candidates. It was just a week ago in Wisconsin, literally 24 hours after that Mar-a-Lago search warrant was executed, where his favorite candidate for governor in Wisconsin won. And yet again today is going to be another one of those tests. And really, Liz Cheney's race caps off a string of primaries over the last 4 or 5 months in which his record of endorsed candidates have performed quite well. Tom?
Ali Vitale, Vaughn Hilliard, live for us from the campaign trail and leading us off tonight here on Top Story with some terrific new reporting. Guys, we thank you.
Was that terrific? I digress. I'm going to keep listening to this. I think this is funny.
I don't really think that'll help them. I just think they need to like talk to.
There should be less bigotry against sort of like the bestiality community.
Like a cat or a dog? No.
But what if they can't help themselves?
Probably get some help.
Like a shock therapy thing, potentially, to shock it out of them?
I don't really think that'll help them. I just think they need to like talk to someone.
There are places where you can do like bestiality conversion, but a lot of times it usually ends up with just a bunch of guys having sex with animals.
It's animal cruelty?
Well, it's human cruelty to not allow them to do it, those two, right? So maybe figure out a way that we decide which animals we care about the least, and maybe say you keep those animals, but stay away from the dogs and cats.
No.
Pigs, we're already like killing them to make bacon, so we could be like, you know, you guys could have those.
I don't think having sex with maybe a squirrel or a lizard is like normal.
What if it was like a, you know, like a large turtle?
I'm not changing my answer now. You say it's human cruelty. I think that's animal cruelty. I truly believe that.
You think him having sex with a lizard has like a tinge of animal cruelty in there somewhere? It would be cruel if you didn't call the lizard after, but if the lizard and him stayed in contact at that point and they have a relationship.
Yo, I don't like it.
Do you think that there should be less bigotry again?
Canada like this stuff? I'm sure they do. All right. We'll check on Liz Cheney one more time, and then I have like a final.
Affidavit. Federal prosecutors signaled they are open to releasing some materials, but not the affidavit.
Oh man. All right. Final video. I want Daddy Kennedy to make me laugh. Nobody's as goofy as him. He's such a silly wordsmith that just triggers the right amount of people, and I love it. Let's hear about Operation. They made it legal. Ugh, did they really? I didn't know that about Canada. Ugh. What? Bestiality is really legal in Canada? Dude, no.
Oh my God. Is that where the monkeypox has started? Okay. I want to hear this clip.
To see you. So give me your take. The liberals are bailing on Joe Biden in 2024. Why so?
Some politicians in Washington, D.C.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Not all of them, but some care more about their problems than yours. And the thing they want most in the world is to be reelected. Certain members of President Biden's own party are running from him because they think President Biden will hurt their reelection. Now, why is that? In my judgment, President Biden has stepped on every rake in the yard. I don't mean to be unfair, but it's been cringeworthy. He has mismanaged Congress, mismanaged COVID, mismanaged crime, mismanaged the border, mismanaged Afghanistan, mismanaged the economy, mismanaged inflation, and forfeited America's energy independence. Now, President Biden obviously disagrees with that. He says he's doing a swell job, and as evidence, he offers the opinions of experts like Kamala Harris and Prince Harry. But I don't think most Americans are persuaded.
Dude, he's so funny. I don't care what anyone says. It's so subtle. Expert opinions of Kamala Harris and Prince Henry. That's a great line. Dude, you know, like when you meet some people and you're like, how are you not a stand-up comedian? Because that's so subtle and just such a snipe. Dude is a sniper.
I don't think the American people hate President Biden. I certainly don't.
I do.
But I think a majority of the voters in our country at this juncture think he would be better off selling catheters on late night TV than serving as president of the United States.
That's not funny. That is not funny. Oh, catheters, man. That's in so many of our futures.
And those are just the facts.
I think you're right, Senator. I want to get your take on this because Biden just Democrats passed this $700 billion bill, a global warming bill that's going to drive inflation even higher. But then he gets on Air Force One and he spews carbon all over the East Coast, flies to South Carolina, and is hanging out in a...
like when I hear like questions like that, I'm like, why do people watch these shows? It's like... Fox News needs to wake up that half their questions are just like some of their hosts are just so corny.
Like, and the same light, he is flying an Air Force One. Make it make sense for me, Kennedy. Go.
Like, these people are paid so much money for doing what I could do with my eyes closed. These questions are so simple. I could do with my mouth closed. It's like, it's just a silly question, but yeah, sure. Like, I don't know if you watch some of these shows on like Fox or CNN and stuff. It's just like, they'll show like a clip and they'll be like, okay, what do you think? Like, that's what I do on this show. I'm doing it for free. But yeah, these people's takes are amazing.
He spews carbon all over the East Coast, flies to South Carolina, and is hanging out in a $20 million carbon-emitting mansion with 9 bedrooms. What say you?
I say that the president and Senator Manchin's tax and spending bill is a massive transfer of capital from the pockets of the American people to the Green New Deal, and it's going to cause energy prices to go up.
Yes.
And you know how much it's going to reduce world temperatures? Zero. None. Nada. Because India and China and Indonesia and Russia.
You could literally list every single country, especially countries that want to take over the United States as far as the world leader. They don't give a crap
about the environment. They don't care. I know, Biden on a bike. Why do they put him on a bike? You know, he had that fall. I feel like that fall should be the last time you allow him to ride a bike in public. I know he likes to pretend like he is like this fitness freak and like he can just run. I know like the press secretary talks about how Biden runs circles around him and stuff like that. He is not a physical specimen. He is far from it. Stop with this idea that it's like these leftists, when they talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they always like show clips of her working out like it's like amazing. Her workouts are trash. It's like, keep that to yourself. It's like if you're like super overweight, no one needs to see your beach body pictures. Keep that to yourself. Like, some things are just better left alone. And so Biden on a bicycle, stay off the bike. Or if you're going to ride a bike, don't do it on purpose in front of the public to show how like strong of a human being you are physically. It's just not worth it. He is always wearing glasses. I know. He's always wearing sunglasses like he's drunk on the job. Like, don't look at me, man. It's just like, I don't want anyone to see me. Everyone listen to me. I got something to say. It's just like, it's like, we just live in crazy times. Finish me off, Kennedy. Excuse me?
Russia and sub-Saharan Africa and South America will continue to emit CO2. So Americans get to sacrifice. They get the spinach without any of the dessert.
Maybe he doesn't want us to see him not blink. Dude, I'm here for that conspiracy theory. What if Biden is a robot? And sometimes he just needs a fresh update. The days that he like stumbles over his words a lot, he just needed a bug fix. I do the picture that Jill Biden posted of her, and I don't know her pronouns. Why I shouldn't assume. Sorry, of them together, them together. He did look like a freaking wax figure to the T. Okay, he walks like he walks like an old guy that's getting ready to fall. Like, I know a lot of old dudes that struggle walking. He reminds me of every single one of them that looks like a physical therapist's wet dream.
And that's the way I think most fair-minded people see it.
I think you're right, Senator. Always great visuals. Joe Biden stepping on a rake. Great line today. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. To see you.
He doesn't even acknowledge it. That was a great line. Oh, man. All right, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Mr. Tubbs, I appreciate you. H. Paul, Kaylon James, and then so many of you. It means so much to me that you take time out of your day to hang out with me. When there's so many podcasts you could listen to, you choose me. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, it means so much to me. Thanks for helping me feel like I'm not talking to myself in a camera and going crazy alone. Because if you're not laughing about what's going on in the world, I don't know what to tell you, because you can get consumed and overwhelmed, and it could be completely crippling to you. So find a way to laugh at some of this insanity. It's the only way to be functionally okay in this world, because this world is freaking nuts, dude. Tell your friends and family about the show. It means a lot to me. Share this on social media platforms. Let people know about the show. Something different, something new, something hopefully you like and you feel like is cool enough to share and stuff like that. It means a lot to me. And always let me know how to make this show better. If there's anything that I do that you're like, I wish you would do a little bit more of this, or wish that you would talk about this and stuff like this. This show, you guys in the chat are as much a part of the show as I am. Period. This is a community thing. This isn't all about me. So if you have any ideas, let me know. If it's something I do, if it's something I think I could do, I'll freaking do it. If it's something I think is totally stupid, I won't. I just won't talk about it. But it means so much to me that you guys hang out with me. Honestly does. I love you guys. Have a good freaking night. Down with Liz Cheney. May she lose and never show her head in our politics ever again, except when she starts her new show on MSNBC, which I'll be tuning into to make fun of. Have a great day, guys. Love you guys. Bye.